My name is Carl. I work at InvestorHub. The agenda for tonight, I'm just going to give you a little update on things that are happening in the Elixir ecosystem. I did it today. Not going to miss it forward, but we'll do that. After that, we're going to have Jimmy talking about securing Elixir, security practices. At 7:15 was typically the time we expect the pizza, but it got here before the news. So obviously that's not necessarily going to happen, but we probably will take a short break after that talk. And at 7:45, around about, we're going to have Julian from Sandra talking about process scheduling and concurrency and then getting into the weeds about how that really works under the hood. And after that, you can hang around. I think on the event it says you can go to the Meetup Tavern. I don't know that we've ever done that, but you're welcome to. And yeah, so let's get into it. So the news. I guess the biggest kind of headline thing is that Elixir 1.15 has been released. And ever since Elixir 1.0, the changes have been very incremental. There's been very intentionally said no sort of make and break changes. They're really just trying to improve on the things that are just not quite there. So main thing with the Elixir 1.5, 1.15 release is that we've got faster compilation and boot times. And when you use it with OTP 26 specifically, then you also, that's where the boot times come in because they cache code pipe lookups and things like that. And the benchmark, I think it was on like a MacBook, Max or I don't know, whatever the like highest spec Mac out there. They saw like an improved compile time of 16%. Pretty cool. And there's a bunch of convenience functions in Mac, keyword code, and calendar, and all that jazz. I wasn't going to go over all the individual functions because let's not do that. Could be cool, but otherwise, let's move on to the next thing. So, one of the really cool things I saw recently was that a guy named Mitchell Hander, he started a new organization called Elixir Tools. So you're probably all aware of Elixir LS, which is the main language server for Elixir and VS Code. This guy, Mitchell, thinks he can do a better job. That sounds like I doubt it. It looks like he's doing a great job. But one of the things about Elixir LS is that it is a little slow. There are times it kind of hangs, or I can't count the number of times I've deleted .elixir ls directory to get things moving again. So some really cool things in there. NextLS is kind of the experimental server, and if you want to use that on VS Code or Neogen, you just install those extensions there. There's a Credo language server as well that he's doing, which is pretty cool. So you get like Elixir meeting in the, what do you call it? A text editor. In the text editor, instead of having to run mixed Credo. So that's going to be a really nice quality of life improvement. And it looks like he's building all of this with a behavior called TNOST. So I thought that was really cool. This one maybe was just cool for me, but or for us, because InvestorHub uses AppSignal as well. But basically, AppSignal does all sorts of things like monitoring and performance sort of stuff. But they recently also introduced log management for Elixir, so you don't have to divert to Logflare or to Google Cloud or whatever it is that you're using as your logger backend. You can actually have all that contained in AppSignal now. And I've used it myself on my project Prototype. It seems to be working just fine. I was pretty pleased to be moving off of Logflare, even though they're great. It's just nice to kind of have everything in one package. The less sort of tabs I need to look at my stuff, the better, really. So yeah, and it's really easy to install. You just need to change the runtime to NSS. And the application.start function in your Phoenix application. So I thought that was really, really nice. LiveView Native is a pretty cool project as well. If you're not aware of it, basically Dockyard, one of the kind of biggest Elixir organizations out there, they're a consultancy, but they do a lot more than that. They really contribute a lot to the ecosystem. I think they were maybe the first employer or Chris McFord, who created Phoenix to really fund the Phoenix project. He's since moved to Fly, but Dr. has played a huge role as it continues to do so. And now with the Lightning Native project, some awesome person in the Elixir community has made a VS Code extension so that you get kind of a nice autocomplete and stuff like that, even with your Swift UI code. So I thought that was really cool, worth having. This one is somewhat out of my wheelhouse because I certainly don't consider myself an AI or machine learning expert. But Sean Moriarty, he was the one who created the numerical Elixir project, or at least laid the foundations for it. And he recently wrote a blog post about all the alternatives, open source alternatives specifically, that you can use for ChatGPT-like applications and large language models. So NX being numerical Elixir, Bumblebee being the library where you get a bunch of pre-trained neural network models to use with that. On top of Axon, I did not include the descriptor for Axon. But I thought that was pretty cool that they kind of include support out of the box for models like FLAN-T5, which is a Google thing. Llama, I believe it's Facebook's open source large language model. And Open Assistant, which is one I only learned about today, they also include support for that. So I think there's a little bit more support to do in the background, more than just this config stuff. I did initially, because this is Livebook, you can have code blocks that you can run in Livebook. I did initially kind of write the code you can execute, and I got a bunch of runtime errors. So that's obviously not all you need, but it is kind of an easy way to get started once you figure out the rest. And yeah, so that's kind of all I have as far as the news, because it's just a welcome. But we are really keen on getting some new speakers for this meetup. So even if you're a beginner, like if you just learned about Elixir today or yesterday, whether you're a beginner or an expert, we'd really love to hear you talk, even if it's just like a how-to Elixir talk. We really welcome that. So reasons you might want to do that. For one thing, at least personally, I've found that speaking in public is a lot easier in a small crowd. So it's good to get practice in front of a community like this. Everyone who's come to this meetup, I've found is really friendly and easy to talk to, and such is that it's much easier to talk in front of them when you wrote a thing today, like I have done. And, yeah. The other thing is, when you have to write a talk about something, you really need to learn it deeply, otherwise it looks like a fool. Although I just said it's a welcoming environment, and I said to look like a fool, you know what you're talking about, but that's not the case. You know what I'm talking about. So if you write a talk about something, or if you write a blog post, it's all similar. It just really kind of deepens your understanding of things, and I would highly recommend it. Even if you're kind of shy, especially if you're shy, I would say it's great to do. And we can also publish your talk on our YouTube channel. Obviously, you can opt out of that if you prefer not to. But we do have a YouTube channel, and we do record this stuff. And I hope you're at least seeing my face in the camera here. So yeah, if you're interested, please let us know. You can talk to any of us, Julie, myself. Reese is off the here, he's not here today. There's some emails. Julie and I guess will send an email.
Don't email me on that.
Don't email him.
I'm changing jobs, I'm not going to be doing
Okay, let's exclude Julian's email for now, but if you want to talk to Julian, please feel free to.
I have another one.
Great. Okay, well, if you want to talk to email Julian, please ask him for his email.
Email support@sendle.com. Please forward to Julian.
Cool.